Hi everyone, I'm Chris Martinson of Peak Prosperity. It is December 31st, 2014, New Year's Eve. We're going to have a big party in this space a little later tonight. It's going to be a really good time. I hope you're going to take some time to celebrate the coming of the new year. Now, last year in some ways for me was a forgettable one from the standpoint of markets and looking at what's been happening in the markets or what hasn't been happening, which is reality being able to come in and play a part in these markets. They've been manipulated, they've been controlled. The world is supposed to be all better as long as we can have the Dow at 18,000 or maybe 20,000. That'll all be great, right? The problem is that the things that we keep talking about at Peak Prosperity, the things that really matter, like having a good long-term plan that we can really believe in, something that our youth can look at and say, I get it, I see what the plan is, there's a strategy. What's a strategy? Strategy is simple. Companies have them, you might have one personally, I always do one every year. Our country ought to have one, the world ought to have one. A strategy has just two parts, it's very simple. Part one is you have to know where you're going, that's your vision, and part two is you have to know how you're going to get there. Those are your resources. So we might have a strategy around, I don't know, how we're going to farm sustainably for a long, long time, meaning we understand that the soil is being balanced, like the guys at Farmland LP are doing. We can farm sustainably if we choose. Not a choice we've made yet as a nation or as a globe, or an energy policy that makes sense that says, hey, we've got some natural gas, we can get it out of the ground. You get to use it once, what would we like to use it for? Where do we want to be in 2030? So these are the kinds of conversations that we're going to continue to have at Peak Prosperity. If we're not going to have them at the national or global levels, we need to be having them. You and me, with each other, we need to talk about where are we going and how are we going to get there. In the absence of a coherent national strategy, you have to have a personal strategy. So may you have a 2015 that's full of resilience. I want to hear all of your stories about how you're increasing your resilience. I'll tell you mine. I'm really in a very comfortable spot in my own life right now in terms of my physical health, my emotional well-being, my financial well-being, and the physical infrastructure of the house that I live in, my community, and most importantly, the relationships I have in my life. Those are just growing deeper and more profound and more robust. A topic I think we're going to spend a lot more time on in 2015 because this is the really important part of life, is how do you live authentically in a really fulfilled manner. That's increasingly tricky to do living in the world of manipulated money, but it doesn't mean that you can't have a fulfilling, purposeful life if you make the right choices. So here we are at the end of 2014. In some ways, I'm glad that it turned out the way it did. Other ways, good riddance. We'll see what 2015 brings. It's going to be an interesting year, trust me on that one. So please come on by to this website, Peak Prosperity. We're going to be discussing all of this and more. We've got a new blog entry up for this week where we're discussing kind of the big picture, the big summary. Where are we? Where are we heading? And really just, it's this simple. The path we're on is fully unsustainable as a people, as a nation, economically, monetarily, energy-wise, environmentally, and these are the things that we're really going to burrow into and talk about because there's a lot to discuss and would love to see you at the website. So come on by, check it out. We're having great conversations there. Going to wish you a very happy new year. I'm sure by the time you've watched this, you've already been through your celebrations. But as I mentioned, we're going to have a rockin' celebration here tonight and we'll talk about what's coming up in the new year at the website. So I'm Chris Martinson of Peak Prosperity. Thank you so much for listening and a very happy new year.